Yes! Warm your hands up on this hot tea. It appears there is a power struggle going on in Atlanta. Again, actually, between world-class chucker Trae Young and head coach Nate McMillan. Nope, not Lloyd Pierce, the last coach that got fired because of his drama with Trae Young, the new coach that replaced that coach because of his drama with Trae Young. Fun stuff. As everyone knows, last weekend Trae Young had a run-in with Nate McMillan that led him to ghosting the Atlanta Hawks game. Yeah, ghosting, meaning not showing up for work on Sunday night. Like he just hit it and quit it. Just like, literally, I'm here, where were you up, and then had a nice night, nothing, right? Like nothing. No response. It's, what was it, like hit him and the text go green, you know? That's where it was. Why he went ghost mode is now at the heart of the story. According to Shams, looking at you, camera, everybody's giving me a hard time, being like, it's Shams, Sharania. It's not. What are you, Rube? What are you, country bumpkin? What, did you fall off a log? Like, come on now. It's Shams. Shams Sharania. I know it's not easy to say, so you just say Shams, but don't murder me in my own comment section because I know the guy's name. Anyway, according to Shams, issues between Trae and Nate culminated in a telltale moment. I love that word. Telltale moment. Inside the Hawks practice facility on Friday. All-NBA guard Trae Young and coach Nate McMillan had an exchange at Friday's shoot-around that led Trae Young choosing not to attend the team's win at home over Denver at State Farm Arena. Here's the tea. Warm your hands up on that hot tea. While Young was receiving treatment for a sore shoulder, McMillan asked him if he was able to play. Trae literally said, I'll tell you later. I don't know. Not sure. Well, considering that you actually have to, game plan as to whether your players are going to play, Nate was not happy with that answer. Not a great answer, honestly. He said, all right, well, I'm going to plan on you not playing. And if you're okay, we'll either have you come off the bench or, I don't know, just don't bother showing up for the game. That was like a loose thing, like don't bother showing up for the game, and he didn't. He took that quite literally. Trae Young decided not only to take the night off, but I'm just not going to go to the arena at all. And shit has hit the fan in Atlanta ever since. The Hawks have been in full damage control, as you might imagine, ever since. In separate pressers, both men had interesting reactions. Not shockingly, Trae was a little salty towards the reporter. This is what happened. Let's play it for you.
Situation, we're all grown men here, and there's sometimes we don't always agree. And it's unfortunate that private situations and private conversations get out to the public, but I guess that's what the world we live in now. But I'll just focus on basketball and focus on helping my team win, and that's what I got to get to refocus it on.
But what's public was that you not at the game.
And then it gets very testy from there. Maybe shed a little more.
Why weren't you there?
Why weren't you there?
Man, it sounded you was at me, bro.
I'm curious. You're leader of this team.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's hard for people who don't know the full situation to understand it. So.
How dare that reporter ask a follow-up question?
Like I said, it's a private matter again, and it made public, which was unfortunate. And if it was stayed private, it probably wouldn't have been as big.
Oh, you think you can just ghost your team and it just stays private? You don't think anyone's going to be like, hey, how come that guy we're paying $50 million a year to isn't at the game and he's not on the injury report? John Collins is wearing a boot. He's right there. We see him. Where's Trae? You don't think anyone's going to ask about that? And all the youngsters, it's a different generation these days. I'm starting to feel old. They're like, oh, F that reporter. He's got an attitude. He's dehumanizing Trae by asking him where he was. Listen, when you get paid $50 million, it's not just to play basketball. Let's be honest. It's to play basketball. It's to rep the brand. It's to answer questions from the media. It's to grow the brand. It's to be available, be honest, be transparent. I don't think people know that enough. It's not just to put the ball in the hoop at 28.7% from the three-point line like you're doing right now, Trae Young. Like, it's to do a lot more than that. As an aside, is this the most salty interview in history? Trae did not want to talk to this guy. It was like Russell Westbrook and that dude from OKC. It was like that, where he's like, next question, and then forever he just ghosted that reporter until he left OKC for good. As for Nate, he's been mad, as you could expect, especially at reports that he gave Trae an ultimatum. This is what he said. I addressed my team about that. I've talked to Trae about that. We're moving forward. The one thing I do want to respond to is there was something said about me telling Trae to not show up for the game. I will never, and I have never, ever told a player to not show up for a game. That is just false. John Hollinger, who I love from The Athletic, who's covered Nate all the way back to his Blazer days when he was making Brennan Roy the most disgusting player on earth to watch, said of him before the next game, as a longtime observer of Nate McMillan press conferences going back to Portland, I don't ever think I've seen him this animated. Yeah, Nate is pissed. There's a fracture in the locker room. Head coach versus head player. What's fascinating is the fallout. If you think that the rest of the Hawks were running to come to Trae Young's defense in this feud, you are sadly mistaken. Sam Amick was asked, who was on the Who side of Raja Bell's podcast, and said, I love the question, and I think the answer is pretty clear that the players, if they were picking sides on this, to be honest with you, they'd be on Nate McMillan's side. I like Trae Young as a player. Do I? I don't know. Sometimes. But I don't know how I feel about him as a person, but Trae has done nothing but feud with teammates and coaches since he got to Atlanta. To the point where Shams Charania said in the article that they were looking for Trae Young to be a more positive voice in the locker room. Like, when that's not something you just write yourself. That's a direct quote that isn't used as a direct quote, if you know what I'm saying. It's just, even as outsiders are weighing in, like George Karl, who I hate, said this. I'm not liking the rumors. What a stray at George Karl. George Karl spit on me accidentally one time. He's the worst. Like, we'll just go, that's a whole different story for a whole different day, but he's the worst. Why am I quoting him? Because I can. This is what he said. I'm not liking the rumors about Nate McMillan potentially not finishing the season with the Hawks. Nate is a hell of a coach and a person. There is too much player empowerment in this league sometimes. There's a lot there. Remember, it was Trae Young who led the rebellion against Lloyd Pierce and got him fired. And now it doesn't seem like he likes Nate anymore. Seems like everyone's the problem, according to Trae Young, but him. As they say in the business, sometimes you shouldn't point a finger, you should point a thumb. So, problem is, a whole lot of his teammates seem to think Trae Young's act is getting old as well, and it's not the first time either, right? Remember, early in the 2020-2021 season, there was beef between John Collins and Trae, pretty much spurred the beginning of the constant John Collins trade rumors that have persisted until this very day. Till this day. Most people were quick to label Collins as a malcontent, but the truth is, like, it's Trae. When it's every time there's a problem, it's Trae and someone else. Sometimes, listen, your entire organization is dick, right? Maybe you just have a bunch of terrible decision makers, a bunch of toxic people around you, and you're just the canary in the coal mine. I don't know if I would consider Trae Young to be the canary in the coal mine, though. Am I close to the situation? No. Do I know people close to the situation who are telling me, yeah, Trae Young's kind of a punk sometimes? Yes. Shams reports that the Hawks have had multiple teammates to address the many issues facing the team. How many damn team meetings do they have? How many? How many do they have to have? Listen, it's all hands on deck here. What's the common denominator? The canary in the coal mine, Trae Young. And it's not if the Hawks are a bad team. They're the 4th seed in the East right now. Better teams than the Hawks have been derailed by a lack of leadership. Calling Draymond Green. Calling Jordan Poole. Calling. Lack of team chemistry is an issue right now for the Hawks, and Trae Young is at the center of both those issues for the Hawks. At this point, what's going to happen? I don't know. Probably more toxic shit. We'll keep you informed. Let's move on.